What's up, y'all? It's Evan from DMV Sports Zone giving you another update on all things DMV sports. As per usual, we start with the Washington Capitals. So for the Capitals, it wasn't exactly a good week, capped off with a 3-1 loss to the Flyers on Saturday. The loss drops the Caps to 23-16-6, 52 points. They've lost 2 in a row, both to Philadelphia, and they're 4th place in the Metropolitan Division. If the season ended today, they'd make the playoffs, and they would play Carolina in the first round. So here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Capitals, the week begins tonight when they head to New York to take on the Islanders. The Islanders come in at 23-18-3, 49 points, 5th in the Metro. If the season ended today, they would play Boston in the first round. New York is coming off a 2-1 win over the Canadiens on Saturday, in a game in which they scored both of their goals in the first period. This is the first of 4 between the Caps and the Isles. Last season, Washington took 2 out of 3 against New York. After this, quick turnaround for the Capitals, as on Tuesday they return home to host the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are currently 24-14-4, 52 points, 3rd in the Central. If the season ended today, they would play Dallas in the first round. Minnesota's coming off a 2-1 win over the Coyotes on Saturday, and they've won 2 in a row. This is the first of 2 between the Caps and the Wild. Last season, Minnesota swept the season series against Washington. On Thursday, the Capitals head to Arizona to take on the Coyotes. The Coyotes are currently 13-25-5, 31 points, 7th in the Central, ahead of only Chicago, so if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Arizona's coming off a 2-1 loss in Winnipeg on Sunday. They've lost 8 in a row. They are winless in the calendar year 2023. This is the last of 2 between the Caps and the Yotes. Arizona leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 3-2 in D.C. on November 5th. And for the Capitals, the week concludes on Saturday when they head to Vegas to take on the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights are currently 28-14-2, 58 points, 1st in the Pacific, so if the season ended today, they would play Calgary in the first round. Vegas is coming off a 4-3 loss against the Oilers on Saturday, thanks to a game-winning goal by Clem Costin. This is the last of 2 between the Caps and the Knights. Vegas leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 3-2 in overtime in D.C. on November 1st. Now we move over to basketball and the Washington Wizards. So for the Wizards, it was an up-and-down week, capped off with a 112-108 loss to the Knicks on Friday, thanks to 34 points by Jalen Brunson. The loss drops the Wiz to 18-25, 12th in the East, so if the season ended today, they would miss the playoffs. Here's the week ahead for Washington. For the Wizards, the week begins today, actually in a matter of hours, as they host the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors come in at 21-22, the 8th seed in the West. If the season ended today, they play Minnesota in the play-in tournament. Golden State's coming off a 132-118 loss in Chicago on Sunday, thanks to 43 points by Nikola Vucevic. This is the first of 2 between the Wiz and the Warriors. Last season, Washington and Golden State split a pair, with the home team winning both. On Wednesday, the Wizards head to New York to take on the Knicks. The Knicks are currently 25-19, the 6th seed in the East, so if the season ended today, they play Milwaukee in the first round. New York is coming off a 117-104 win in Detroit on Sunday. They've won 3 in a row. This is the second of 4 between the Wiz and the Knicks. New York leads the season series 1-0 after beating Washington 112-108 in D.C. on January 13th. And for the Wizards, the week concludes on Saturday when they return home to host the Orlando Magic. The Magic are currently 16-28, 13th in the East. If the season ended today, they'd miss the playoffs. Orlando's coming off a 119-116 loss in Denver on Sunday. They've lost 2 in a row. This is the second of 4 between the Wiz and the Magic. Washington leads the season series 1-0 after beating Orlando 119-100 in Orlando on December 30th. Now we move to college basketball and the 10th ranked Virginia Cavaliers up 1 spot from last week's rankings. So Virginia this past weekend went down to Tallahassee and brought the brooms, beating Florida State 67-58 on Saturday to sweep the season series. The win improves the Cavaliers to 13-3, 5-2 in the ACC. They've won 3 in a row and they currently sit at 4th place in the conference standings. And as of the latest bracketology, Virginia is a 4 seed. Here's the week ahead for the Wahoos. For Virginia, the week begins on Wednesday as they return home for a Commonwealth Clash with the Virginia Tech Hokies, who we'll talk about later. Virginia Tech comes in at 11-6, 1-5 in the ACC, 12th place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Virginia Tech is in the next 4 out. The Hokies are coming off an 82-72 loss at Syracuse on Wednesday. They've lost 5 in a row, and they are winless in the calendar year 2023. This is the first of 2 between Virginia and Virginia Tech. And for Virginia, the week concludes on Saturday when they head to Winston-Salem to take on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Wake Forest is currently 13-5, 5-2 in the ACC, 5th place in the conference standings, but as of the latest bracketology, Wake Forest is not in the field. The Demon Deacons are coming off an 85-63 win at Boston College on Saturday, and they've won 3 in a row. This is the only meeting this season between Virginia and Wake Forest. Up next, let's talk about the Maryland Terrapins. So Maryland had pretty much the whole week off, but they were rusty on Sunday, and it showed in an 81-67 loss at Iowa thanks to 22 points by Tony Perkins. The loss drops the Terrapins to 11-6, 2-4 in the Big Ten, 10th place in the conference standings, but as of the latest bracketology, Maryland is still in the field as a 9 seed. So here's the week ahead for the Terps. For Maryland, the week begins on Thursday when they return home to host the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan comes in at 10-7, 4-2 in the Big Ten, 4th place in the conference standings, but as of the latest bracketology, Michigan is not in the field. The Wolverines are coming off an 85-78 win over Northwestern on Sunday, thanks to 22 points by Kobe Buffkin. This is the last of two between Maryland and Michigan. The Wolverines lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Terrapins 81-46 in Ann Arbor on New Year's Day. And for Maryland, the week concludes on Sunday with a tough test as they head to West Lafayette to take on the third-ranked Purdue Boilermakers. Purdue is currently 16-1, 5-1 in the Big Ten, 1st place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Purdue is a 1 seed. The Boilermakers are coming off a 73-55 win over Nebraska on Friday. They've won 3 in a row. This is the first of 2 between Maryland and Purdue. And now let's talk a little more about the Virginia Tech Hokies. You've heard their record. You've heard what happened last time out. You've heard who they play on Wednesday, the Virginia Cavaliers in the Commonwealth Clash. But here's how the week ends for the Hokies. On Saturday, they head to Clemson to take on the 19th-ranked Clemson Tigers. Clemson is currently 15-3, 7-0 in the ACC, 1st place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Clemson is a 10 seed. The Tigers are coming off a 72-64 win over number 24 Duke on Saturday. They've won 7 in a row. They are undefeated in the calendar year 2023. This is the last of 2 between Virginia Tech and Clemson. The Tigers lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Hokies 68-65 in Blacksburg on January 4th. And finally, we got to talk about the Georgetown Hoyas. So for Georgetown, the hits just keep coming. A 66-51 loss against Seton Hall on Tuesday is what happened last time they took the floor. The loss drops the Hoyas to 5-13, 0-7 in the Big East. They've lost 8 in a row and sit at last place in the conference standings. And obviously, as of the latest bracketology, Georgetown is not in the field. So here's the week ahead for G-Town. For Georgetown, the week begins today with a game that's actually already in progress up in Philadelphia against the Villanova Wildcats. Villanova comes into today at 8-10, 2-5 in the Big East, 9th place in the conference standings. As of the latest bracketology, Villanova is not in the field. The Wildcats are coming off a 79-71 loss at Butler on Friday. They've lost 2 in a row. This is the last of 2 between Georgetown and Villanova. The Wildcats lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Hoyas 73-57 in D.C. on January 4th. And as of right this moment, I'm pulling up the score right now for you guys. Let's see right here. The Hoyas currently have a 44-42 lead with 15:56 to go in the ballgame. And for Georgetown, the week concludes on Saturday with another tough test as they head to Cincinnati to take on the 8th-ranked Xavier Musketeers. Xavier is currently 15-3, 7-0 in the Big East, 1st place in the conference standings, and as of the latest bracketology, Xavier is a 3 seed. The Musketeers are coming off an 80-76 win over number 25 Marquette on Sunday. They've won 11 in a row. They're undefeated in the calendar year 2023, and they haven't lost a game since November. This is the last of 2 between Georgetown and Xavier. The Musketeers lead the season series 1-0 after beating the Hoyas 102-89 in D.C. on December 16th. Well, that's it for this update, but stay tuned to this channel. We've got plenty of good content from Noah, Nadia, and Abdullah as we shift into off-season mode. So, yeah. Until next time, I'm Evan from DMV Sports Zone, signing off.